We're live.
Tell everybody that so they get that up. You didn't tell me until after I did that. I'm Deb Pinto. I teach in Hopkins, Mass. Then finishing up my 21st year there at the middle school in 6th grade.
John Parker. I teach with Deb at Indian Hopkins Middle School. This is my 12th year there and 20 some odd years of teaching around Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Just so everybody knows that right now we are broadcasting live. Google Hangouts on air, which we'll talk about later. I don't know how familiar people are with some of these things that we're going to talk about today. But it is live. We wanted our coordinator to be able to see what we're doing today. So he's probably going to be watching it today, as well as some of the teachers that are building and some of the administrators that are building. But it is basically broadcasting to anyone who has the link that we created. They can go watch it right.
Through Google Hangouts is what we use. And John's going to actually talk about Hangouts a little bit. So we have some goals for you today. The first one is we're going to actually talk about just Google Apps for education and how we're integrating them into our phys ed program at the middle school level. We're going to talk about Google Classroom itself, and then we're going to show you some apps and how we've actually got them to work for our classes. Now, if you're, well, I've seen everybody on their phones, and if you're like me, I like technology and I like how it enhances my class. But I'm very much like Doug the dog, because I see a new app and I'm like, oh, that's awesome, I want to use that one. And the next one comes up and I get the next one, I'm like, oh, that's awesome, I want to use that one. So everybody knows the squirrel reference.
My master made me this collar. He is a good and smart master, and he made me this collar so that I may talk, squirrel.
That's who I am in my classroom.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, because we share.
You all probably have a phone with you. If you don't mind taking it out, you can either type in, there's two things, a couple options here. So we created the tiny URL for this slide deck. So if you wanted to just type in that slide deck, that address, you can get access to the slide deck with all the links and everything. Or you can just type in the Padlet link. Has anybody ever used Padlet before? Okay, you can type in that Padlet link and it'll take you to a page with a question on it. And all you have to do is double click anywhere on the page and you can type your answer to the questions on that page. So if you type this in, I know it's a lot to type in. So if you don't want to type it in, you could go to this and just click on that button. You'd be looking at the same slide that we are at. So either one would work. And there's just one quick little question up there that we use now and then. That's good for us. It gives us a little information. The term dip sticking comes to mind for us. We know where we're starting with you. I probably shouldn't have walked in front of that. Has anybody been able to get in there yet? Yeah. My fingers, I can't do it because we thought a little bit too late just about putting up a QR code. How many people would have had a QR reader?
A lot of you.
Sorry. Just to give us a sense of where you're at right now is kind of what we're looking at. Yeah. The question is, where are you now? So what are you using right now? What apps are you using right now? Are you using Google in your classes right now? Is there anything in particular you maybe want to try to find out in the next hour? And you can just double click somewhere on there and you can type in an answer. You can put your name on the top if you want to, and then just start typing. And then when you click outside the box, it's there.
I don't want to be identified. Anybody else need a hand? Everybody good?
It won't let me type in.
I'll let you type.
I brought it up, but I don't.
Is anybody able to type it? Okay.
John, do you know on the iPad?
Okay.
And John's gonna talk a little bit more in depth about this app.
Yeah, I'll talk about Padlet a little bit later.
In his classroom.
This is one of the things at times that we'll do, that I'll do with some of my classes with Padlet when they come on. Just wanted to have a sense of people working.
What do you want us to type in? What do you want us to type in?
For the Padlet?
Yeah.
What are you doing right now in your classes with Google, any kind of apps that you're using or not using?
Little interactive session for you.
And if you're not, just say, you know what, I'm not doing anything right now.
Come on in,
I
have a
want
seat.
to.
Welcome. So, people are just typing in either of those links as opposed to Padlet, just to answer the question.
QR code, that's next time we do this. Taking notes already. We will have the QR code for this next time.
That's what it's all about. It's about trying things and learning as you go.
Right, so while you're trying to figure this out, just so you have a sense, I'm definitely not a tech geek. 100% I am not. I get very frustrated with it at times. On Monday morning, yesterday morning, we were sitting trying to go through things, and I was having some difficulty setting up the Hangout on air. And it was supposed to be a third person presenting with us. She's not here today. It's our technology integration specialist at our school. So I'm video chatting her, and they're trying to figure this out. She's like, just relax. And it gets to the point where sometimes one thing doesn't work, and it just starts stressing me out, and then I lose sight of what I already know. And I know that happens to a lot of them. But I'm not a tech. I get as frustrated with technology as everybody else. It's not necessarily something that I incorporate every single day into my class, but it's something that we do see value to, so we do try to incorporate it in certain situations that make our life easier and makes it better for the students as well. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
All right, so we have a quick little video to show you. Does anybody know what SAMR is? SAMR is about the levels of integration with technology, and this video is going to speak to it.
This is the SAMR model in 120 seconds. The SAMR model is a framework that provides a lens for viewing technology integration in the classroom. The first level is substitution, or the idea that a block is a block no matter where it is or how you access it. This would be like using Google Docs as any other word processor. The new tech replaces the old tech, but it does not change the task. The next level is augmentation. At this level, the tech is still a substitute, but provides more functionality as students work to complete the same task. The ability to share your Google Doc in one click and the fact that it saves to the cloud automatically and provides you access from anywhere is an increase in functionality. The next level is modification. Here the ball really gets rolling because the technology is used to redesign parts of the task and transform student learning. Students collaborating on one Google Doc and using the comment feature to provide instant feedback is an example of modification. The final level of SAMR is redefinition. At this level, we're able to design and create new tasks that were once unimaginable. By shifting our perspective from technology just being another block or substitute, we're able to truly start imagining the possibilities. An example of redefinition would be connecting to a classroom across the world through students sharing Google Docs. They would each write their own narrative of the same historical event, using the chat and comment section to discuss the differences. Then students would use the Voice Comments app to discuss the differences they noticed and embed this in their class website as a culture walk. To recap, substitution is the same task, new tech replaces old tech. Augmentation is the same task, but the tech increases functionality. Modification, we're able to redesign parts of the task. Redefinition, we're able to create new tasks once unimaginable. As we move from substitution to redefinition, we're moving from enhancing to transforming student learning.
So with the SAMR model, we are all in different places in this room, but even John and I are in different places with the same app and how you apply it. But it's all a process. So you may start at the S with how you're integrating into any technology in your classroom. But the idea is to work through that. And so I have some apps that I'm an S with, and I have some apps that I'm moving towards an R with in my class. So it's okay to be on that learning curve with different pieces of technology. You don't need to master it to integrate it in your class. So don't be afraid to try it.
And it takes time. It's not something that happens immediately. We have recently gone to one-to-one Chromebooks at our school, which has been at times wonderful, at times not so wonderful. And that helps us significantly in terms of trying to transform the students' learning as we do this. The enhancing part, I think, is the easier part, but when you're getting to what we're really trying to transform it, that's the challenge. That's much.
So we all know the goal of physical education is to develop physically literate individuals that come from shaped America. And using the SAMR model in technology in our classrooms, when we integrate it into our classrooms, our education settings, you're addressing and assessing almost every one of these standards at some level.
How many people here work at schools that are like Google schools and have all stuff? So some of the things that we're going to talk about today, at least in the first part, if you're not a Google school, then you really won't have access to some of this. But we want to explain it to you anyways and talk about it a little bit so that we can help you be an advocate to try to build that way. At your school, it really can be something that can truly benefit everybody if you get to that point. Our school, it's been years, but we finally just this year went to one-to-one, which is been tremendous. Google Docs basically work. It's pretty much the same thing, except it allows you a few more advantages. Number one, I haven't made copies this year. I haven't had to make any copies. I haven't spent time at the copy machine. I haven't done any of that. And the paper savings at our school is huge because everything is done electronically. And folders are created for the kids in their drives where they have access to everything. They have different folders for different classes. And if I want to go and look in their folder for phys ed, I can go and look in the folder and see what they have in there. It basically allows you to create electronic folders for the students that they can carry with them as they move on. So that to me is amazing. One of the nice things specifically relating to Docs is the fact that it allows me to provide feedback to the students. So what I just very quickly here put in was a log sheet. So if you're doing work on muscle fitness in class, they're doing push-ups and curl-ups, and I notice over time, hey, it really, it looks like what you're doing push-ups is getting pretty easy, so maybe you need to start stepping it up a notch. So we can communicate back and forth, and I can go and look at what they're doing. I want to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and also we can have a back and forth with the student as well, and I can see what they're modifying what they're doing based on the comments we're making. If you have any questions as we go, just let me know. One of the other things, actually going back, that we use it, and the nice thing about the Google Doc is that it's a live resource. So if you're coming up with like a vocabulary list, we spend a lot of time talking about fitness, and we're constantly adding words to our vocabulary list. I have it in a doc that they have constant access to, and they can see that it's been updated. And they are constantly having to go back and check it. So it really puts some responsibility on them to make sure that they are taking ownership of making sure they're their own education. Yep.
Do you go to, so all of your students are in Google Classroom?
Yeah.
And you're checking those folders for each of your classroom, each individual.
Yeah. And it's as easy as one click. I just click that, I make the document, I make that log sheet, I click share, and I can share it out with whoever I want to. just by their email address. All our kids have their own email address.
And so John mentioned he uses it like vocabulary as an example. I'm going to show you another difference how I use vocabulary using a different app later on.
And then you have Google Sheets, which is basically Excel. Which, you know, there are some things that you can do in Excel that are a little bit more challenging in Sheets, but there are some things that are in Sheets that are awesome. That make your life, it will make your life so much easier, particularly when it comes to grading. And some add-on extensions to Google Sheets that are amazing. Like the sheet, the picture that I have here is of a benchmark exam we give to our students. Where after they take the test, it basically just loads it into a Google Sheet for me where I can just correct it. Well, I don't correct it, the computer corrects it. It's corrected in a matter of seconds for all my students. It's awesome. And just one quick example in terms of for the sheets that I use, I teach a dance elective in 8th grade. And one of the first things I try to get from them is a playlist, so we have music going all the time. And I just ask them to go in and add songs to the playlist. And it's easy for me, I can sort it. One of the columns, and I sort it by the last column, where it says, do I need to clean version? And if the answer is yes, then those go to the bottom. That's around 200. This is the one that actually we use a lot, and that's Google Forms. And we use it for a bunch of different purposes here. And
Is anybody using it?
It's basically a way for us to give all sorts of surveys, formative assessments, summative assessments, you know, dipsticking, feedback from students on a program, pretty much anything you would ever want information on, you can send out to the students. It makes life very easy. I'm just going to show you a couple here that you can use. Like I will go in, we call, some would say open gym, and we just say, might say active choice words, and they can be active in the class. And what's the number one priority when you're doing that? Number one priority is to be safe. Number two priority is to be active. And that's something we talk about with the kids from the beginning of the year. And it's just good for me. Right when they walk in, I have them do this the first time, just so that we're all on the same page that, okay, and I can just look at the results in a matter of seconds and see that everybody gets it. Oh, this is actually.
So our students are taking a benchmark assessment. We don't have any benchmarks. In Massachusetts, our kids have to take benchmarks. So what do you know with the beginning? What do you know at the end? And they're actually, this is a live form right now. This class for me, there's a class taking this for me right now. So yeah, so as they're taking their test, the benchmark on Google Assessment, we were using Galileo, which is another assessment software, but it was cumbersome for us to do that. So we switched this year over to Google Forms. So we put our whole benchmark assessment. So here's what you're supposed to know by the time you leave 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. So our benchmark is on Google Forms. So as they're answering the questions on Google Forms, their answers are creating this spreadsheet. They're all going to be on the spreadsheet, and then they're going to be able to use that, add grading to this, and it will automatically grade it for me. So I have 300 kids that I'm responsible for. It will grade them in a matter of about 30 to 40 seconds, their assessment. So then I just have to take that. It doesn't speak to our student management software yet, but right now all I have to do is take those grades and then put them into any evaluation pieces I have that I have to show data on.
Just so you can see actually what the test looks like. This is the test. We made a separate version for you, but this is their end of the year benchmark that we were just showing you the spreadsheet for. This is the actual test. It's a multiple choice test. It's very easy to put together. Just a matter of typing in the question, typing in what you want as possible answers, and that's it. I mean, it's very easy to create. It's no harder than creating one in Word. It's effectively the same thing. And then as they take the test, it's about 34 questions or so, all related to fitness. When they're done, they just click the submit button, and that's what drops it into the spreadsheet for us. It just automatically drops it right into that spreadsheet.
It's made our life a lot easier. I can see some people nodding their head, like it's just amazing how much it's helped.
I just keep trying to click back because I want to see if when students actually start submitting their answers. They were supposed to start taking it about 12:10. So they should be finishing in probably another 10 minutes or so. One of the other things that we can use this for, because we have to provide data for our evaluation every year now in Massachusetts. And one part of that is student feedback. So we have surveys that the students can submit information for. We can get data from that as well. Just another way that we use it. We also, in 8th grade, we do an elective program, and we're basically in charge of scheduling the students in 8th grade. And we actually like it that way, so it lets us control the class size and who's with who. The office just kind of throw whatever. And we use that for signups. For this, where it's just a very simple Google form that again drops it into a spreadsheet where I can sort it based on when they have class and what classes they signed up for in 8th grade. And we actually just recently found out of a new way to sort them from that spreadsheet that we're still working on that actually allows, when you're taking a form like this, where you're signing up for a class, when it reaches a certain number, one of the options will disappear. So if I get to the point where basketball hits 40, I can set this, when basketball gets to 40, close it. And it will no longer be an option. And so it just automatically reduces those options. So the kid who comes in last to fill in their form ends up having very few options to look at there. But again, it's just something that's easier than, and again, we are still working on this.
And part of the reason we
Still
found
learning.
out about that new piece of it was because we went to our technology people and just said, this is what we're doing, there's gotta be an easier way. And just asking and advocating for yourself in terms of technology is huge. Take care of that. That's what those people are there for. And our technology department has been phenomenal in helping us with everything we do.
Now, we mentioned the whole idea of grading. There's an extension for an add-on for this, for Google Forms, that's called Flubaroo. Has anybody ever used it? It's awesome. It's awesome. So this is an example of my 6th graders on that same test they're taking today. They took it in February. Oh yeah, February 11th. They took it February 11th. And what I can do, if you look here, there's 2 pages, 2 sheets here. One that is the submissions and one that's the grades. All I have to do, they submit all their answers on that. And then what I'm going to try to do is I go to add-ons, just so you can see what it looks like. And I've already got one called Flubaroo. So we start a clock. So this is about 100 students right now. Cool. Okay, so it says replace the grades. Yep, we try to replace the grades. And these are the steps you go through to try to grade a class. It helps, you have to decide whether you're going to grade a question or it's just something that identifies the student. And it honestly, it knows. When you type in last name as a question, we can even have to change this. It knows that that's just an identifier somehow. Magic of computers. And then sometimes you have to change what's here. Normal grading can change how many points each question is worth. You can make it so that it doesn't grade a question if you don't want to. It can skip it. Or if you have an open response, you could be something that you have to grade by hand. And then after you go to that, you're like, yep, that's how I want it. Each question is worth 1 point. They're all worth the same, just grading. You continue. And then it comes to a list of every student who's taken the test. And all you have to do, the one thing you do have to do is take the test yourself. And I label it as answer key. And then you just highlight the one that you want to be the answer key, you hit continue. It's great.
And then
And that's basically, and then they get to see what the grading actually looks like. If it actually finishes. Everybody sees it. And it gives you a lot more information than just the students' grades. And that's one of the great things about this one. It does. Okay, now it's really. Okay, so what I need to do, sorry, I'm just gonna try to hide most of that out, because that's their last notes. But it gives you a summary, how many points, it tells you what the average score is. Sure. It tells you what the average score is, how many were here, and how many low-scoring questions. This was mid-year, so there were a bunch of low-scoring questions for my sixth graders because we hadn't gone over a lot of stuff. And then it gives questions. I can sort it. It sorts it by which class they're in, if that's one of the questions I ask. It tells me their points and it tells me their grade. And I can set it so that it highlights it in red if it's below a certain score. So that I don't even really have to look at the actual numbers, but if I just scroll up and down and I see a lot of red or I see a lot of black, I know how to do it.
And these columns are those columns that are highlighted, those are low scoring questions. So then you can go, okay, this class, I need to reteach this or find another way so that students understands.
And the ones and zeros is just the normal. Probably 0 is you got it wrong, 1 is you got it right. Just how many points you got in that question. So this for us has been a huge time saver in terms of trying to grade assessments for students all the time. So and all our teachers use this. This isn't just in phys ed, this is across system. So if you're looking to advocate and get a lot of people on your side in terms of trying to convert to this saves so much time for teachers. And it gives you a decent amount of information as well, other than just the grade. And you can actually set up something where you email them your grade. Questions on any of that?
Google Forms and Flubberoo are your friends.
Do you create the Flubberoo thing before you start Google?
It kind of, what you have to do is you have to get an add-on, and you have to like enable Flubberoo on that sheet, but you create the sheet first. It automatically does it when they start submitting responses. So you set up the form, and then as the students start answering the questions, it automatically creates a spreadsheet, or you can do it manually. And then you have to add on Flubberoo as an extension to it. It's under the add-ons list.
So on this page, I haven't graded this because this is the one that kids are taking now. If I go here to add on to here, the first thing it's going to say is grade assignment. So that will add the Flubberoo to this spreadsheet.
And if you look a couple down from where it says Flubberoo, it says get add-ons. So if you don't have that, you would just click there and then it would take you to basically getting apps added to it.
That's very important. Is it Flubberoo or Pinto?
Yes.
I don't want to say the wrong thing when I'm talking to my child. I want to look at knowledge.
Yes.
Yes.
It was
I've heard so. Okay.
So how many of you use Google Classroom? So Google, this is what my hub looks like. So this is like Google Classroom Hub, and it's used in our building in our district for a lot of reasons. So these are my classes. These are the classes I teach, and it goes on and on, my 7th grade and 6th grade. But it's also being used in our district for our guidance or counseling department is doing an initiative in our building. So everything they do and share with the students is right here. So here's one of our guidance counselors. But it's also being used for a technology professional development hub. So everything gets pushed out to us through this. So all teachers are in this class so that we can access all this. And we can go back to it. This is what my hub looks like. The students' hub looks the same, except there's a science, math, English, social studies, phys ed.
Yeah. First, so if you're not a Google school, This is a great tool, and again, you're not gonna be able to use this if you're not a Google school, but at the same time, hear about it and try to advocate for this. I think it'd be great benefit for your school. That's the first thing. Second thing, that game class that's up there, we actually are having a bunch of our teachers in our school, ourselves included, working towards becoming Google certified educators. So our school is really all in on this. And it's great because we have the support of a great system that really wants us to become proficient in this.
And they actually offered the staff an opportunity to miss 3 hours of meetings in order to do that, so you had the time back to work on it. So it was nice. So just, I'm gonna take you through Google Classroom pretty quickly, just to show you some of the features in it. So this is the page I set up for today. So over here, if I click on that, it would have all the drop downs of all my classes here. So I can pull that up. The name of the class, I'm gonna talk about these in different pieces: stream, the students page, the about page. And you can change this. This is a generic thing they have in Google Classroom to change this background image. I've got a bunch of different images I use to photo class.
It's a different
I see.
You can actually put those in there.
So on the about page, we've been told to use it to describe your class for access. So like today, I put in Berkshire because that was the room we're going to be in, but it automatically creates a class calendar that your students have access to. So when you put an assignment on this, they will actually get it on their calendar. So no more, I didn't know it was due. Now you're putting that responsibility back on the students to make sure they get their homework in or doing whatever worksheet you're asking them to do. And I'll show you a little bit about that. So this is a Google Classroom page. It's a typical page for me, an about page. It has the class expectations here, so grading policies, like medical stuff, what to expect this year, class rules, all those things, so I can refer back to that. When they say, I didn't know about it, yeah, you did. We went over it the first day, and it's right here. You're responsible for it. And then here is the class syllabus. Now I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but in Massachusetts, to be part of the evaluation process, one of those things for evidence is having syllabuses for your classes. So now I have a 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade class syllabus. Any questions on that page, the about page? So the other, you'll see now we're going to talk about stream. So in the stream, there's a lot of different things you can do with the stream. This is just an example of if I put an announcement in, so I can send announcements to my class. Hey, we're going outside tomorrow. Here's a link to the weather forecast. Make sure to come prepared for class. Hey, tomorrow we're going cross-country skiing. Make sure you bring your hats and gloves. Or, hey, you know what? It's going to pour tomorrow. We're not going outside to play rugby. So I can put that up there for them. And most of them read it. The hardest thing for, I guess, district-wide or building-wide, now that we're one-to-one, is getting the kids to actually look at their calendars and look at the announcements. And then this is the Active Life test I just been showing you, but this is an assignment. And I'm going to show you this page in depth. It has a little to-do, like when things are due, and a class code we're talking about.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? Yeah, so that assignment, it has a due date on it, but does it have parameters for start time and end time? You can
Yeah, and I'm
also
gonna show you that on the next slide. And that's brand new, as of like last week. So you can also put a question. So I put a question out to my kids. Are you ready to take the test? Last week I sent them that question. So I typed in the question, put the due date on it. It can be a short answer or multiple choice. You can attach a link, a YouTube, attach something from Drive, and just put an attachment on it. And then you can do this. They can reply to each other or not. So this was the question I asked my kids. Are you ready to take the test? So and I made it multiple choice. So I don't think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to take charge of my own fitness, and I'm ready to champion for my own fitness. So what it did was allow me to look at this and say, okay, Dante says he's not ready. So I can either email him or go through Google Classroom or talk to him face to face and say, what can I help you with? What don't you understand? So it's informing my teaching. So here's stream. So this is an assignment. So you put in the title, a little description or directions. You can click a due date or have it not have a due date, whatever you choose. And then this is on Google Drive, so I use this Drive button, uploaded this here. This, if I drop down on this, it will show all my classes. So if I wanted to go to all 12 of my classes, I just click all those 12 boxes. One step. I don't have to go to each individual class page. It can make a copy for a student on their Drive. They can view a file, they can edit it, and it can make a copy for everybody. Now, it's kind of blocked in this, but right here is where you click assign or post. Now as of last week, they added scheduling. So the test that they're taking now, I scheduled last week for a certain date and time. So that does add it into a piece of cake. Just to make sure you did the right period on the right. So they're not getting it too bad. So I scheduled it to pop up 10 minutes into the class period, figuring they're changing, they're coming out in the gym, they're doing a warm up, they're getting active, activating their brains, and they're going to take the test. So instead of having them come in, take the test, and then be active with whatever time is left over, applying the research that we know is they're going to do a better job if I activate them beforehand. So in terms of students joining, now you can't join this because this is in our school's domain, but you can either invite kids to join it by typing in all their email addresses, or you can just simply display the class code, which it automatically generates. So you just post this picture up, you post this in your gym, when they're sitting there on the Chromebooks, and they just enter that code, and they're automatically part of that class as a student. So there's a couple different ways to join.
And then it allows you to just simply send emails to an entire class all at once, or you can spell it out to emails to students individually or in groups. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the apps that we've started using in our classes. And it makes things so much easier for the students when we do it this way, and for us as well. These aren't all the ones we use, but these are the ones that we tend to use to try to get some assessment piece done with it. But we do use other apps as well. We just thought assessment, let's focus on the assessment piece of things and see what we do with those. And we're not going to talk about form. Anybody ever used Go form? We're not going to talk about it, but it is one. It has a lot of drawing pieces to it that can actually force students to actually do some drawings to represent things that are going on, whether you're trying to support a skill, step, or something.
So Peer Deck I've used, we're not going to demonstrate that because I had to eliminate a couple just so we fit in our time here, but Peer Deck is, you can display like a PowerPoint type of slide presentation, and the kids are seeing a different screen than what you're projecting. So I may be talking about some concept that I'm displaying, projecting, and they have a multiple choice question that they need to answer based on what I'm talking about. So it's a neat app. I'm just not that proficient at it yet. So, good? Yeah. All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is Quizlet. Now this is where I did vocabulary different than John did. I think it might be easier to just show you. So here's my Quizlet page for fitness concepts for 6th grade. So I dropped in 28 terms. Now, I can click how many of those I actually want kids to study. They're 6th grade, I'm not going to give them 28 or any of them. So maybe give them 5 at a time. So I can click on what I want them to see. Okay, and so the top 5. Now, what they do is they join. Send them the link. They join this, but watch this. So now it's taking the information that I put in. It creates flashcards for them. Automatically creates flashcards. So when they get that,
Click on it.
Yeah.
So you can see it.
okay. So it does that, which is they really like that piece. And then it does learn. So learn is what word is that? Okay. And it can speak the word for them, it can spell the word audio, it has an audio piece to it, to them. It has simply type what you hear,
Physical fitness.
and they have to just type it. It creates tests for them based on the words that you're allowing it to use. And I actually, for their vocabulary words, when they were finished with all 28 this year, I just flipped through this a couple times, so I kept shuffling the questions, printed out one of the tests and said, here's the test. I didn't have to generate the test, I just used one of the ones. So again, saving time. And then it's got scatter, which is a game. So again, I'm not using, so it starts, and you have to like click on, like its timing, it's a static stretch, and what's the match for static stretch. And it will eliminate it. Eliminate from the screen. And so it eliminates, takes so long to eliminate from the screen. And then this is called gravity. You can choose the level. And so the idea is I'm not spending a lot of class time talking about vocabulary. They're going home and working on it. So I can address them, use the vocabulary in my class as they've been assigned words. They should know them, and then they can ask questions. So I'm not spending a lot of time saying, going over specific stuff and getting them this. Right? So that's a Quizlet. Questions on Quizlet? So Quizlet is a definite thumbs up for me. Oh, questions for everything. Alright, so this is my thing, using video. So on their Chromebooks, they actually have a webcam that we got access, and this is actually an app that they can use. So I'm just going to tell you how I use the video assessment in my class. So what I asked them to do was record yourself for 30 seconds doing a plank. What do you mean? Well, just set up the Chromebook, and how I presented it was purposeful. Set up the Chromebook, record yourself doing a 30-second plank. So they recorded themselves with a partner, helping stop using video to record themselves doing the plank. Then they come over and be like, is this okay? So I look at the video. As soon as I see the video, I know it's not okay because I didn't tell them the first time around to make sure you get the feet in the upper body. No, not right. You gotta go back and do it again. So now how many planks have I got to do? Okay. So they go back, they do it a second time. Then I look at the video real quickly. All I do is look at it real quickly, and I'll go, hey, see this little curvature in your back here? You better try it again, but try to get rid of that. So now, the 3 planks in, I'm integrating the technology. They're working on their plank. Okay? So now this was the pre-test. So they videotape themselves doing the plank. So then, when they're done, they come back together and I talk about the plank. What's the plank look like? I talk about cues. I may show them a video of somebody doing a good plank. And then I send them back to go do it. Try it. Still watch, they can tweak a little bit. But if you know middle schoolers, their brain is not connected to their body. So when I go to somebody and I say, hey, fix that, they can't do it. You see all sorts of different body parts move because they don't know how to get that fixed. Right? So then you have to, so then I give them a checklist with a Google form that says, yep, you know what? My elbows are not stacked with my shoulders. Needs improvement. So do I have it or does it need improvement? So simple, like 10 questions, yes or needs improvement. So now I'm documenting that pre-test, not only video-wise, but through that Google form. Then I have, and I give them, so they do that. And then I give them I talk about, the cueing pieces, how do you fix those pieces? Then I give them like a stick, an old hockey stick that I've taken the blades off of, lay it down on their back, heads to their butt, and have them videotape themselves again. Then they start to be able to really see these differences in their form versus where it should be. So then basically they'll spend 6 weeks working on correcting that form and strength, right? Because then I'll teach them how to do a real plank and videotape themselves. They can't hold it, and they can see in the video, they watch this happen. They may start straight, but about 6 seconds in or 7 seconds in, you see the change because they're not using the right muscles to do the plank. So video evidence has been huge for me in my class. I love it because I can do that. And then I do a post test 6 weeks later and say, oh, you know what? I've got a little stronger. I don't have this big gap here. I've got a little less. So it's a way to get pre-test, post-test, and data. Now, how many use FitnessGram? Anybody use fitness testing? So this year what I did was I had my kids videotape themselves. We have the kids self-test. So they're in groups of like 2 or 3 when they test. And I actually have my kids use the video to videotape them to like, why do we have to do it? Like, trust me, we have to do it. So the first thing that happened, anybody have the kids self-test? Johnny called me out and I didn't make a mistake. Oh, here's your evidence. Did you make it? Look at it. Where did he call you out? Look. Did you make a mistake? Was that heel off the ground? You know, or your hands off the mat? Did you come up too far? So it provides evidence and great instant feedback for the students.
Yeah, any reason why you prefer we video to something like Coach's Eye or Original Video?
So Coach's Eye is great for me if I want to go teach them a skill. Like I can video them with that and say, okay, look at this, draw the lines on it, use all that. But I thought this is an app for Google. It works with Google. They can use it on their Chromebooks, where they're actually videotaping themselves versus me going around and videotaping everybody individually. So it's more integrating it into their classes. And I do it with a squat. I do it with like so the big motions, the things that they need to learn how to do. Because you know when you do the squats, the same thing. You do the squat, you turn it back from the kids, and so you know like doing this, right? Yep, doing what squats. Right, instead of really working into their squats. So it's a way to really keep them honest and check their form as they progress. Any questions on that? Great app. Use that app.
I might actually go back in the presentation a little bit here to the very beginning. And let's see what's up. Okay, so some people here maybe don't have a lot of knowledge. Tech challenge, use Google Classroom to use any apps. And this is very good for me. It gives me a lot of information on people right off the beginning here. Usually I can move stuff around. But it gives me a little bit of information. Thank you for those of you who responded. That's okay. So then we'll go ahead. So Padlet was the first one that I was going to speak to. And this for me was one that I had my students do. We were talking about the FIT principle and how long you're supposed to do cardiorespiratory exercise. And so when they started, they came in, I said, okay, get on your Chromebook, find it, and give me an answer. And so then we take a look at it, and I'd say to them, what do you notice about the answers? Well, they're all different, right? So depending on, so we lead to a little discussion about it. And depending on your source, depending on your level, depending on your age, you might end up with a different number there. And so it led to a good discussion. And then what I do is I set them out for a few minutes of physical activity, usually cardiorespiratory activity. And then they came back and I did one on frequency. And they look it up and we have the same conversation. And then we do it a different day for muscle fitness. We do it a different day for flexibility. And these they can go on to Padlet and answer these in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take very long. And it allows me, usually, to move stuff around. If a student puts up, because they type in their own name, like you typed in your own names on there, sometimes they're a little creative, we'll say, with names. It allows me to edit their answers. I can delete their names. I can delete their entire answer if they put something up that they shouldn't. Something that's inappropriate. Occasionally that happens in this. But for me, that's a good one just for some formative information. I cannot use this, I don't think, as a summative tool because everybody can see what everybody else is typing. And if I'm not sure of the answer, I just wait, let everybody else answer first, and then go, oh, I like that answer. That's what I'm going to put up. But in terms of just trying to get little bits of information from them that really, right or wrong, doesn't really matter that much, but it lets me know where we're at, this is a great tool. And it's very easy, it's free to set up. If you just go to Padlet, it'll type in Padlet, it'll take you right there. Did anybody ever use Kahoot? Somebody said they used to Kahoot. I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. For me, it's a game. It's a gaming tool. And basically the things I see for this, for the most part, it's a fun way to review. I don't know how else people have used it, but for me, that's how I've used it so far. Again, same topic, fit principle we're talking about, and we've gone over everything, and so then I start asking them questions, and it really is, it's a great game that allows them to review maybe before a test, but at the same time, it gives me a lot of information about them, and they don't even realize it. They just think they're playing a game, but I can look at it afterwards, and I can see who knows stuff and who doesn't about what we're talking about. And I usually would just go to the quiz and type it in this quiz, but this kind of gives you a little bit of information here. This, if anybody's interested, is so if anybody were to go to kahoot.it right now and type in 567423, you'd be able to start playing the game that I had for my students. And you can make up your own name again. And here's the hard part. I can kick people out of the game. So if you give me the appropriate name, I will. And it gives you cool music in the background. So it starts, so right now we have one player. I wonder who that is. And then, but you can, if the kid gives a nickname, they shouldn't. And what I try to tell them is, the nickname needs to be something that allows me to identify you, because I use it for more than just scorekeeping. As much as it is about scorekeeping, it's a little bit more than that as well. And I'll show you that piece in a minute. But I just want you to, I wonder if the other one is there. I think I know who that one is too. So just, I'm not going to wait too long to start this. So, and then, so we have 3 players. Good luck to the 3 of you. Okay, sorry. Are you in? Anybody else trying to get in?
Can I help you? Can I help you? So just type into your. Yeah, it's it's not an app though.
Oh, sorry, that's sorry. It's not an app, it is just go in the internet, in your browser.
Yep.
And the nice thing about this, actually, I have a daughter who's a junior in high school. She uses this a lot in her foreign language class right now. And they don't have Chromebooks. The kids are just pulling out their phones. Every kid's got a smartphone. If you're not one-to-one, you can still do this. You don't have to be a Google school to be doing this. That's the nice thing about these apps that we're showing you. These are free. Okay. Good. Ready to play? Ready to play? Okay. We'll just do a couple. Okay. Hopefully. Okay, multiple choice.
Oh, yeah.
And the faster you answer, the more points you get.
Are you just seeing the colors on the page, on your page?
They don't see the colors on ours.
Right. So you have
to be able to see.
And that's sometimes the issue with the students is the translation. I have a hard time with that. Of the question here to the answer on my screen.
The color.
So as soon as the question is done, it tells us 3 people answered red, 2 people answered the yellow answer. And I'll tell you, with my students, the answer that most often they answer when they answer it wrong is here.
Yeah.
It's the first answer, and they think fit, even though they know what it means. They see the other 3 are right, and they kind of overlook the first one. So again, it's a nice quick talking point when that happens. So again, that's what we got. So those are the scores after the first round of where everybody's at, and it's nice, and it keeps updating as you go. Then you go to the next question. Again, not very. And you can set the amount of time that they have to answer the questions. And again, so by the time we had 5 people, everybody got the question right. Everybody.
Well, that's
answered
a
every
good
question.
thing.
And it gives you the scores again, so now everybody's in the game. So just so you have a sense of, so I mean, and then it goes through the whole thing, that whole thing, and if you have more than 5 people, and I believe on yours, it should be telling you what place you're in, right? It tells you what your score is on your screen somewhere. I have rarely looked at it where I actually see the students one. So I'm gonna end the quiz. So press 1. Now, the one thing that, and then you can also ask for feedback. Like I can ask for feedback after it's done from you on your opinion of this Kahoot. So you, from the students, you can find out, oh, did they like this one? Did they think it was bad? And it kind of lets you get that from the students. Okay. And then the nice thing that I like about this as much as anything is this. I can get the results. This is from one of my classes that took that same test. And it automatically color codes it right and wrong. And so I can look at it and go, okay, the question on what does FIT stand for? Wow, a bunch of kids got that one wrong. What answer did they get when they got it wrong? And then I go over here and I go, okay, this question a bunch got wrong. Maybe I need to reteach that. And it lets me know what concepts they understand and which ones they don't. And then it lets me look at individual students. And I can say, okay, these 4 kids got every question wrong. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm looking at the ones at the bottom of the list. The student who got 5 questions right. And then I look at it and it gives me the opportunity to talk to that student and say, hey, did you just kind of click for fun? Or were you actually trying to answer it? Do you need some help? It lets me see what potentially might be missing from some of my students, what areas they might be lacking. How did you pick This is actually, when you look at the results, like it had feedback and results as an option, it automatically generates the results. So if I actually, on this page, on my home page, right here, it has each Kahoot that I created, and there's just something here where I can look at it or I can save it to my drive. And it automatically generates that form. I don't have to do anything, that whole form. It automatically makes that, which is awesome. Again, it's a great thing that I'm not having to put all that together. And this is one, you could use this as an assessment, as a grade if you wanted to, because they can't see other kids' answers unless they're looking at their computer. And it makes it a little bit more fun, and if you can change the time for each question. It's great for fun. I've used it as a review, but then I also see some students, and I watch. I have them all sit in front of me so that I can see their screens when they're doing it. And I see some that are just kind of like this answering the questions. They're not even looking at the screen as they're doing it. So which is good. So if I see a student, oh wow, we only got 5 right. Oh wait, he was the one who wasn't looking at the screen. So it has different options there. And the kids, honestly, and once they've done it once, they know it, and they have fun with it. Some of them take it pretty seriously.
All these things are just like anything else you teach. It's just another tool, and you don't want to use it all the time because then it takes away the novelty of them. So you want to have a variety of those tools.
I've only done it a couple times in my classes.
So you have to sign up for a account to create.
Yes, I had to sign up for it, but then like you noticed, everybody else can just go in. But it doesn't cost anything for the version that I have. There's no cost to do it. It's as simple as email and password. You're good to go.
And they're public, so you might not even have to create one.
Right.
And then the public can choose.
Yes, because there are.
If people share it.
I do that right here. Public Kahoots. You can just go ahead and search it if you want. And there were other ones. There were ones up there for FIT. When I looked it up, there were a couple up there. I was like, this isn't exactly how I would word it, so I changed it and made it my own. But there are a lot of public ones you can follow. That one, that's, for me, I love that.
Yours public?
I think it is. And even if it's not, if I will go back to the beginning and give you the tiny URL, you can access everything I'm clicking on here. You'll be able to click on the slide deck. You'll be able to see everything. So you'll have all of our benchmark tests, everything that we've used. So Hangouts, has anybody ever done Hangouts on air? Basically what it comes down to is, okay, so at least one of us, that's awesome. It's basically live streaming of events. Last time I checked, there were 2 people watching us.
3.
3. There's 3 people watching this right now, probably from our school. But it's actually public. Anyone who has the link could be watching us right now. But it's, I don't think there's other people, other ones we actually invited. And it's actually very simple and it's great. What I've used it for myself, and I've only just started using it this year after going to the Google Summit a few months ago. I've used it for, I do a dance elective in 8th grade, as I said earlier. And one of the things I do at the end of it is I have a dance competition. Students create dances and they bring in a bunch of teachers. They sit at a judging panel at Dancing with the Stars and the kids perform and the judges score them. And we have winners and we give out prizes. The entire 8th grade, 300 students come and watch. It's awesome, but it's during school day. So these students who are creating these awesome dances, their parents don't get to see it, their families don't get to see it. So this year, I set it up where I broadcasted it live. And I sent the link to it to all the parents of all the ones who were invited to participate. I said, hey, if you get a chance, click on this link around this time and you'll be able to watch your student in the dance competition. So it's a great way to connect. And if you have like guest speakers come in that you'd like to have the community be able to see, it's also a great way to do things as well, because it lets other people see that. If you have a speaker in your class and you want the other phys ed teacher who's in the other gym or the other building to be able to see it, like maybe you got 2 middle schools in your town, and you have a speaker coming into yours, you could do this and they'd be able to watch it at the other school. And you'd have students at the other school watching the same guest speaker. It can be very helpful in those situations. And it's simple. To start it, it's as simple as going to this. If you Hangouts on air, if you just type in Hangouts on air, it'll take you to this page. But again, all these links are in this PowerPoint. And it's basically just go in, create it, and creating it is as simple as giving it a name, deciding who you want to invite, and deciding whether or not you want to make it public. And scheduling the time. That's it. It's very, and then when it comes time to it, I just have to click the button at the bottom of the screen that says start broadcasting. And that's it. It does. Kills your battery. But
It's up to 9 now.
9?
9.
Wow. That's awesome. So it's this is actually the one I
10.
created. It's this. No, it's people. So this is actually the one that I created for this, and then we just hit play. Sign in. And then the thing I like is that it can be good PR for your program, and that other people will be able to see it.
Can you click on that page you just had and see if it will open? Because you're on mine.
This isn't actually the one. This is
Oh,
like a
is it?
fake one that I made to be able to show you what it looks like.
Oh.
But this isn't actually the one that we're using. Those are some of the people that might have been invited to it as well. But it's very simple. And then the nice thing about it is that you have it forever. Because as you're streaming it, it's up on YouTube. And so I look at it and I go, so my 8th grade dance competition, here it is. Now, the one thing I found is like the sound. We've had issues with sound trying to do this. The sound hasn't been great. We're still working on that piece. But it's a great resource, and then you have it. So what I end up doing afterwards is I'll then send the link out to all the students who are in it, so then they can have it. When I first did this this dance thing, I videotape all on my iPad, and I'd save it to my computer, and then, hey, you want your dance? Can you bring me in a disc? I'll burn it to a disc. Oh, it was a pain. But now, it's immediately on YouTube. Here's the link. Here you go. Do with it what you will.
This is just your computer camera.
Yep. That's all it is. Nope. Now, you could try to hook something up through your computer, but ultimately it's you're gonna need it hooked up to a computer somehow.
You have it on the
It's set up on the volleyball stand, the volleyball official stand with a couple of aerobic steps on top, so it's high enough. And I'm just like, nobody touch this. But it actually worked out really well. I was happy. Not that many viewers, because it was the first time we'd done it, and I think I went to the Google Summit like less than a week before this happened. So I'm trying to put this all together in less than a week. And notifications didn't go out as early as they could have. But either way, they can still see it. And they can still get it. And the whole thing is here. Anyway. So I don't know how, somebody had said they'd used Hangouts on here, right? Did somebody use it?
may have said this already, but you said it's saved. Is it saved? Is it also in your drive?
Oh,
Or is
it's actually, I have, as part of our whole Google setup, we have our own YouTube channels. So it automatically saves it to my YouTube channel. So if you don't have a YouTube channel, you'd have to set up a YouTube channel. So
You
you get it,
create a YouTube channel.
and it goes right to it. Like I actually
In
have,
your Google Drive though, you can go to other in your Google Drive, and YouTube.
Right. And actually, I used this weekend. There was a workshop, a Dudes Don't Dance workshop. I just took my computer, I set it up, I set up a Hangout on air, hit broadcast, and I have the whole thing. So when I look at it, if I forget something that he talked about during the workshop, I have it on the YouTube channel that I can go look at.
And so what's your
Sign up for Hangout?
YouTube channel so we
Or
can
is this
look at it?
something
No,
that's part
it's
of
part
your-
of
The
the
link is
Google.
right
It's
there,
part of
so
the
you'll
whole
have
Google.
his channel, so you can see all his videos.
It's on my channel. If you want it, I could get you the link before you leave if you're interested.
Attached to that link.
Yeah, no, I can send them a link to the video, to that actual. So the thing, and just the last thing about the Hangouts, it's not really something that is necessarily for assessment, but it's one of those things that I think it's important that people be aware of, just because of the uses you can have.
So this is the video for the student version of what the SAMR model looks like for them and how it's transformed their education. This one's less than. Oh, that's good.
Okay, we all know that using technology in school can help students learn. But how can our teachers reflect on how effectively they're using technology?
Well, that's what this model is for, the SAMR model. It's kind of like a Bloom's taxonomy for educators.
It was created by this guy, Dr. Ruben Fuentedora, who believes that using technology allows us to think differently and perform new tasks.
After all, if we have today's technology, then why teach like we did 20 years ago?
There's 4 different levels and 2 different sections in SAMR.
Let's take a look at the first level, substitution.
This is where the technology used acts as a direct substitute. Let's take the task of persuasive essay writing. I could write an essay by hand, or I could type an essay using the basic features of a word processing program.
The task is the same and there's no functional change. The technology is being used as a substitute.
Lots of teachers start out at this level, but don't worry, because substitution is not a bad thing.
Even the best teachers visit this level from time to time.
The next level is called augmentation. This is where the task is still the same, but the tech allows for some sort of functional improvement. So instead of writing our persuasive essay on paper, we could use a program like Google Docs.
With this software, the task is still the same, but the unique features of a collaborative document provide some functional improvement.
In both these levels, the technology is used to simply enhance a lesson. This technology may make tasks more efficient, but is not likely to make a big difference in future outcomes. Most learning takes place above the line, and it starts with modification.
Here, the technology is used to provide a significant task redesign.
So instead of simply writing an essay, a student could publish a WordPress blog using text, embedded videos, pictures, and other web links to convey their argument. The audience is no longer just the teacher either.
It's the entire world.
People from anywhere with an internet connection could review or comment on their writing, allowing for deeper analysis.
The final level and the ultimate goal of technology integration is redefinition.
Here, the technology allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously inconceivable. Instead of writing that essay, students could now create and publish a digital storytelling project to argue their writing with multimedia.
Plus, just like the blog, through publishing this movie to the world, it allows for other people to comment and analyze their message.
So the heart of the assignment is still the same, but the technology allows them to engage in a new, more involved task that's otherwise not possible.
At these levels, learning is transformed through the use of technology. When we are more engaged and involved, significant improvements in learning are more likely to take place.
Different people have different ideas about SAMR. Some think that SAMR is like a ladder that you climb. You start at substitution and work your way up to redefinition.
Others think each level is like a swimming pool that you swim in or visit from time to time throughout the school year, and that's okay.
Because no matter the interpretation, the real power of the framework is that it promotes reflective teaching in the classroom. What you do, why you do it, and how it helps learning.
By thinking about the different levels, teachers can focus on designing digital learning experiences that will help improve student outcomes.
See, the thing about SAMR is this. It's not the type of tech tool that defines the level. It's how the individual teacher uses it in their lesson.
So whether you're substituting or redefining learning,
remember the ultimate outcome for integrating technology should be simple.
maximizing student success.
Want more information on SAMR? Check out these links.
So it's interesting to see that perspective. So everything we've been talking about today in terms of applying this technology, integrating this technology, it addresses all the learning outcomes that Chip and Margaret asked us. By this time, the students should be 8th grade for us. It addresses all of these pieces.
Obviously, for some of you, one of the biggest obstacles is the fact that you don't have Google for some of these things. I know that can be difficult, but hopefully you feel like maybe you have a little bit more a knowledge base to be able to advocate for trying to transition into the school system. And it is a process, and all of this is a process. And for me personally, sometimes these apps are very difficult. And as much as they're very simple to some, they're not to others. There are a lot of people that know a lot, and usually who knows the most? The students sitting in front of you. And if you can't figure it out, if you just show the students, they'll in a snap, they'll probably have it. We've used them as resources quite a bit, and what we try to do in some of the things we've incorporated in our classes. Sometimes we'll have an app and they'll mention a different one that we might like even more. So we find that, oh great, that was even better, let's use that one. The students are awesome. And I know for us, at times we have issues, particularly in our gyms, with the reliability of the internet, because there's not necessarily an access point that's available or close enough to us. That really accommodates 2 classes worth of students on it at the same time. Sometimes we'll start doing, like today, I was crossing my fingers when we started taking those tests earlier today, that when we have 50 students all logging into their Chromebooks at the same time. Sometimes it's just like a screeching halt, nobody can do it. And then it's like, okay, you log up. Now you log in, and you do it basically one by one to make it work. But we still have those issues.
We have a great technology staff, like I said before, and they're just, email them and say, hey, something's going on, the internet's working slow. They're right on it, trying to fix it to help us out. So they're very responsive to our needs.
Were your students sitting in the gym somewhere or on the bleachers, or where were they taking
On the floor. We just spread them out in the gym, lay down, sit down, whatever's comfortable. We have, folding mats in there somewhere. Go hang out on the mat.
So we didn't use any equipment today in this lesson, but in this workshop, but there's tons of resources available to you through Spark. It's more time and there's newsletters and there's great things that come out. If you don't follow them on Twitter, definitely follow them. There's a lot of free stuff that comes out. How many people are using Twitter? Anybody using Twitter? It's phenomenal. People are so giving and so sharing. This group, they talked about the other day, and everybody's so passionate. So as you see something that I saw something about 2 weeks ago, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna try that. So the end of last week, I tried it in a couple of classes, and the kids loved it. It was just because I had seen it. So Spark and Sport on, we want to thank them because they're actually sponsoring this workshop. And this is our contact information, so you have it in the URL connection. But we're both in Hopkins Middle School, and by the way, it wasn't in the program, but just to congratulate John that he is the Massachusetts Middle School Secretary. Somehow it didn't end up in the program, so. Yeah, what questions do you have? I know we're out of time. Do you have any
Can you
questions
put
for
that
us?
URL back up?
Yes. And I was gonna say too, we have business cards. We both have business cards that we can give to you, and we would be happy to email it to you.
And if you can do the evaluation online, does anybody need a paper evaluation? I do because yeah, but please take a minute to do that. It gives us great feedback.
And if the screen looks too bright, I don't know how to
Online.
use Office
On the
Lens.
app.
The app,
On the
Office
app.
Lens takes
Yeah.
great pictures.
We also have some written ones if anybody needs a written
If you want that,
Are you so one of the issues the question was, do we have any issues with cheating? And one of the things that our whole school learned very quickly is, as a teacher, where you put yourself in the classroom. So you have to be able to be, when we were in the gym now, we started, our colleague came up with this idea, have them sit on the 3-point arc of the gym, 3-point line. So they're sitting, and then you're behind them, so you can see all their screens and see what's going on, but you still have those kids that are off trying to play this game or that game or whatever.
Right, or if you're doing it like that benchmark test, they just go over to Google Classroom and look at the vocabulary test.
Yep.
Look at the resources that are on that computer they're using. So that's why we have to have them seated so we can see them. So, because there are students that will try.
Yeah, so we have somebody coming in, so we have to wrap it up. We're happy to answer questions outside of the hallway. So.
Thank you.
Thank
Anyone doing a paper eval?
Thank you all.
Thanks for
One
staying
last
so late.
session, yeah.
No, you're fine.
SIKSA. And I will send it as soon as I get the link to that, as soon as I get home. Really about half an hour. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Just got the next person coming in with things.
John, do you need help?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I suppose I can stop broadcasting. Do you want to go ahead and stop? Stop broadcasting. Get them also stop broadcasting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's fabulous. Can I help you?